Welcome to those joining. How's audio? How's video? Hello, Yankee. Welcome. All right. Hello, Jayantha. Hello, Metika. Welcome. Hello, Jayantha. Uh, I don't know. I don't even know when it is. I mean, so I guess the answer is possibly, depending on various causes and conditions. October 1st, then definitely not, because I'll be finishing up a retreat. So even if Bante and I invited me, I wouldn't be able to come. Hello, Anna. Welcome. We'll get started in about a minute or two. Oh, Rick. Oh, hello, Julie. It's been a while. Good to see you. Hello, Karuna. All right. I think we're good to go. Share screen. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Evang me sutang ekang samayang bhagava savattiyang viharati jetavane yanata pindakassa arame tatra ko bhagava bhikkhu amante si bhikkhuvoti badante tite bhikkhu bhagavato pachasso sung bhagava etadavocha. Mettaya bhikkhave chetu vimuttiya asevataya bhavitaya bahuli kataya yani kataya vattu kataya anutittaya parichittaya susamaradaya ekadasani sangsa patikanka katame ekadasa. Sukang supati sukang patibujjati na papakang supinang passati manusanang piyohoti amunusanang piyohoti devata rakkanti nassa aggiva vissangva sattangva kamati tuttavang chittang samadhiyati mukkavanno vippasidati asamulo kalang karoti uttaring apattivajjanto brahmaloko paggo hoti. Mettaya bhikkave chetu vimuttiya asevataya bhavitaya bahulikataya yanikataya vatukataya anuttitaya parichittaya susamaradaya ime ekadasani sangsa patikankati idangavocha bhagava attamanate bhikkhu bhagavato basitong abhinandunti. The benefits of metta. Thus have I heard, on one occasion the Sublime One was living in Savatthi, at Chaita's grove in the park of Anathapindika. There the Sublime One addressed the bhikkhus thus. Bhikkhus, Venerable Sir, they replied. The Sublime One said this. Bhikkhus, there are 11 benefits from the practice of loving friendliness that arise from the emancipation of the heart. If repeated, developed, made much of, made a habit of, made a basis, experience, practice well undertaken, 11 benefits are expected. What 11? One sleeps well. One gets up well. One does not have nightmares. One is pleasing to human beings. One is pleasing to non-human beings. The deities protect one. Neither fire nor poison nor weapon affect one. One's mind becomes calm immediately. One's complexion brightens. One dies without confusion. And beyond that, if one does not comprehend the highest, one goes to the world of the Brahmas. Bhikkhus, these are the 11 benefits from the practice of loving friendliness that arise from the emancipation of the heart. If repeated, developed, made much of, made a habit of, made a basis of, experience, practice well begun, these 11 benefits are expected. Thus spoke the Sublime One, delighted, those bhikkhus rejoiced in what the Sublime One had said. All right, friends, welcome to, it is Monday night here on the East Coast USA. Who knows where it is where you guys are, maybe earlier in the day, maybe deep into the night. But it's Monday night, 8 p.m. here. So this is time for another 2-hour festival of Dhamma with the Maggasekha community, Dhammapalooza. During this 2-hour festival, or well, however long it lasts, during this festival of Dhamma, we will do a variety of Dhamma-related activities. We did some chanting. We'll do some meditation. Maybe we'll read suttas. Maybe we'll answer questions. Maybe we'll have a discussion. Who knows? That's because Dhammapalooza is a community-guided event. This is not a come and listen to Bhante talk for 2 hours event. This is a community-guided event. So for the next couple of minutes, we'll see if there's anything in the chat. If you have any topics you'd like me to give a talk on, if you have any questions you'd like me to answer, anything you'd like the community to discuss. And if nobody has anything, well, I always have a sutta in my back pocket for us to read. So welcoming Douse. Welcome, Douse. Welcome, Gregory. Checking the chat to see if there's anything. Might be a quiet night tonight in the chat anyway. Quiet night is a good night for reading suttas. Give it one more minute just to make sure that the chat is not lagging. There always seems to be the thing where I bring up the sutta and then somebody has a question. Like people are trying to avoid suttas. It's sad and gray here. Well, yeah, it's been pretty gray. Morning monastery experience was very dark this morning because I like to do it only with the light of the window, well, and the Christmas lights and stuff that make it bright. But still, it's quite dark because of no sun today. That's for sure. All right. We shall read Majjhima Nikaya number 2. All the Defilements. So I have heard. At one time, the Buddha was staying near Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's monastery. There, the Buddha addressed the mendicants. Mendicants, Venerable Sir, they replied. The Buddha said this: Mendicants, I will teach you the explanation of the restraint of all defilements. Listen and apply your mind well. I will speak. Yes, sir, they replied. The Buddha said this: Mendicants, I say that the ending of the defilements is for one who knows and sees, not for one who does not know and see. For one who knows and sees what? Rational application of mind and irrational application of mind. So this is one of Bhante Sudasso's interesting translations. I think it does require a bit of explanation. The word here is yoniso, and indeed, yoniso can be translated as rational, except that Bhante Sujata is pretty much the first one who ever has. So this has led to lots of confusion by people because yoniso is has never been translated with rational before. So, but this is yoni, same as he's talking about yoniso manasikara. Manasikara is contemplation, investigation, observing. Yoniso can be translated as the root. And it's yoni is like the womb or the egg. But this is yoniso manasikara is one of those aspects of mind and aspects of mindfulness that is an important mind state and tool for seeing things as they are. This is why it says the ending of the defilements is for someone who knows and sees yoniso manasikara, who understands the origin, the root. When you apply the mind irrationally, defilements arise, and once arisen, they grow. When you apply the mind rationally, defilements don't arise, and those that have already arisen are given up. Some defilements should be given up by seeing, some by restraint, some by using, some by enduring, some by avoiding, some by dispelling, and some by developing. So the Buddha is giving us tools, kind of giving us the right tool for the job for how to uh, abandon the defilements. Defilements given up by seeing. And what are the defilements that should be given up by seeing? Take an unlearned, ordinary person who has not seen the noble ones and is neither skilled nor trained in their teaching of the noble ones. They've not seen true persons and are neither skilled nor trained in the teaching of the true persons. They don't understand to which things they should apply the mind and to which things they should not apply the mind. So they apply the mind to things they shouldn't and don't apply the mind to things that they should. This this harkens to the Dhammapada verse where the Buddha, it's also in the suttas, but I mean all the Dhammapadas are in the suttas. But you see in the suttas and the Dhammapada where the Buddha says the untrained person sees the unessential in the essential and the essential in the unessential. It's very, very similar kind of wording here. They understand what they should apply their mind to and what they shouldn't. So they apply their minds to things they shouldn't and don't apply the things that they should. Oy. Have you seen that in your own mind so many times? I know I have. And what are the things that to which they apply the mind but should not? There are things that, when the mind is applied to them, give rise to unarisen defilements and make arisen defilements grow. Defilements of sensual desire, desire to be reborn, and ignorance. These are the things to which they apply the mind but should not. And what are the things to which they do not apply the mind but should? They are the things that, when the mind is applied to them, do not give rise to unarisen defilements and give up arisen defilements, defilements of sensual desire, desire to be reborn, and ignorance. These are the things to which they do not apply the mind but should. Ah, Julie. Yes, well, if you're in Canada, it's quite hard to be at Empty Cloud at the same time as me. And Amy, it worked out that way. But keep an eye out on my website because we are supposed to have me come to Canada probably next year. We'll see. So because of applying the mind to what they should not and not applying the mind to what they should, unarisen defilements arise and arisen defilements grow. So this is a right effort framework, right? The framework of right effort is abandon unskillful uh, states, qualities, habits that have already arisen, and not to attach and create and build up unskillful habits, qualities, mind states, etc., that are arising, right? Not to make them, not to have them hold into the mind and then grow. And then the reverse, to develop good, skillful habits and qualities and to maintain good, skillful habits. So this is a very right effort, um, a framework here. This is how they apply the mind irrationally. Did I exist in the past? Did I not exist in the past? What was I in the past? How was I in the past? After being what did I become in the past? Will I exist in the future? Will I not exist in the future? What will I be in the future? How will I be in the future? After being what will I become in the future? Or they are undecided about the present thus. Am I? Am I not? What am I? How am I? This sentient being, where did it come from? And where will it go? When they apply the mind irrationally in this way, one of the following 6 views arises in them and is taken as genuine fact. The view, myself survives. The view, myself does not survive. The view, I perceive the self with the self. The view, I perceive what is not self with the self. The view, I perceive the self with what is not self. Or they have such a view. This self of mine is he, the speaker, the knower, who experiences the results of good and bad deeds in all the different realms. This self is permanent, everlasting, eternal, and perishable, and will last forever and ever. This is called the misconception, the thicket of views, the desert of views, the twist of views, the dodge of views, the fetter of views. An unlearned, ordinary person who is fettered by views is not freed from rebirth, old age, and death, from sorrow, lamentation, pain, sadness, and distress. They are not freed from suffering, I say. Mickey, all right, I'll give you an easy one. You kill beings, and you like to kill beings, and you feed, develop, and enjoy killing beings, right? That is unskillful habit that has already arisen. When it's already arisen, you have to starve it. You have to stop trying to do it, right? Trying to enact in intention and will and refraining from it. And then what is unarisen, do you not go around killing beings? Do you not go around stealing, committing sexual misconduct? If so, good. Don't start. It's unarisen. It's not within you. So don't let it take hold and feed it. That's the difference here. That's the risen and unarisen. Visaka, remember, you're not the only. This is not just on you. You might have invited me to Canada, but there are at least Amy and some other people who might, can help bring me to Canada. So don't just feel like it's on you. Sometimes everywhere I've gone, usually it's a group that invites me, not just one person. Although a few times it's been one person, but mostly it's been a group of people. All right, continuing on. Uh, Julie, I don't know if this question has to do directly with the sutta or not. It doesn't seem so. It's a question I'll answer. I'll take care of after the sutta. All right, continuing on. An unlearned ordinary disciple who is fettered by views is not freed from rebirth, old age, and death, from sorrow, lamentation, pain, sadness, and distress. They're not freed from suffering, I say. But take a learned and noble disciple who has seen the noble ones and is skilled and trained in the teaching of the noble ones. They've seen true persons and are skilled and trained in the teaching of true persons. They understand to which things they should apply the mind and to which things they should not apply the mind. So they apply the mind to things they should and don't apply the mind to things they shouldn't. So they apply the mind to things they should and don't apply the mind to things they shouldn't. And what are the things to which they don't apply the mind and should not? There are things that, when the mind is applied to them, give rise to unarisen defilements and make arisen defilements grow, the defilements of sensual desire, desire to be reborn in ignorance. These are the things to which they don't apply the mind and should not. So you might think that the Buddha is being vague here, but this asava, this is a kind of totalizing thing. I mean, there's thousands, if not millions, of possible actions understood in here, right? So this is the Buddha cannot, no matter how many some people try. I've seen people do this, even with me as a monk. Try to make sure that every single one of their actions is vetted by a monk before they perform an action. No, nobody can. Even the Buddha would be tired if this is what you did with the Buddha all day. But the Buddha gives us these frameworks to judge for ourselves, right? To see that this is a arisen defilement, this is an unarisen defilement. And to understand it within our own mind. This is part of our job as a meditator, as a practitioner. When we investigate the mind, we see this. All right. And what are the things to which they do apply the mind and should? They are the things that, when the mind is applied to them, do not give rise to unarisen defilements and give up arisen defilements, the defilement of sensual desire, desire to be reborn, and ignorance. These are the things to which they do apply the mind and should. Because of not applying the mind to what they should not, and applying to what they should, unarisen defilements don't arise, and arisen defilements are given up. They rationally apply the mind. This is suffering. This is the origin of suffering. This is the cessation of suffering. This is the practice, at least, of the cessation of suffering. And as they do so, they give up the three fetters: identity view, doubt, and misapprehension of precepts and observances. So this is the first three fetters that mean that you've become a sotipan, a stream enter. These are called the defilements that should be given up by seeing. Defilements given up by restraint. And what are the defilements that should be given up by restraint? Take a mendicant who, reflecting rationally, lives restraining the faculty of the eye. For the distressing and feverish defilements that might arise in someone who lives without restraint of the eye faculty do not arise when there is such restraint. Reflecting rationally, they live restraining the faculty of the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, the mind. For the distressing and feverish defilements that might arise in someone who lives without restraint of the mind faculty do not arise when there is such restraint. For the distressing and feverish defilements that might arise in someone who lives without restraint do not arise when there is such restraint. These are called the defilements that should be given up by restraint. So this is sense restraint, right? Restraining and keeping in check the senses, not getting wrapped up in. Well, actually, is kamasava. It was the first one, right? Under this, the three things here. What does he translate as kamasava? Sensual pleasures, I think he translates it as. But anyway, this is the point. This is restraining the senses. Defilements given up by using. And what are the defilements that should be given up by using? Take a mendicant who, reflecting rationally, makes use of robes, only for the sake of warding off cold and heat, for warding off the touch of flies, mosquitoes, wind, sun, and reptiles, and for covering up the private parts. Right? So you shouldn't be using your robes to be in the latest fashion. Reflecting rationally, they make use of alms food. Not for fun, indulgence, adornment. Now, those of you empty cloud people, and maybe you people who have gone to Bhavana in different places, maybe you've chanted this, maybe you've seen this. The monks chant this. Oh, Patisankha yoniso pindapatang patisevami. So it says, not for fun. I make use of this food, not for fun, indulgence, adornment, or decoration, but only to sustain this body, to avoid harm, and to support spiritual practice. In this way, I shall put an end to old discomfort and not give rise to new discomfort, and I will live blamelessly and at ease. So we see the point here so far by using, right? You are using your whatever you use during your daily life. Or for lay people, you'd be your car, right? All your, the thing, your clothes, all these kind of things that you're using, and using them skillfully, mindfully, with the right intention and attitude. That's what really giving up defilements by using is pointing towards. Reflecting rationally, they make use of lodgings, only for the sake of warding off cold and heat, for warding off the touch of flies, mosquitoes, wind, sun, and reptiles, to shelter from harsh weather, and to enjoy retreat. Reflecting rationally, they make use of medicine. So these are the four requisites for monastics: clothing, food, shelter, medicines. If you are to understand and practice in your own life, again, like I said, your car, all kinds of whatever, items, whatever you are using in your life, using it skillfully, with senses restrained, mindfully, reflecting on the purpose for this. Only for the sake of warding off the pains of illness and to promote good health. For the distressing and feverish defilements that might arise in someone who lives without using these things do not arise when they are used. These are called the defilements that should be given up by using. Defilements given up by enduring. And what are the defilements that should be given up by enduring? Take a mendicant who, reflecting rationally, endures cold, heat, hunger, thirst. They endure the touch of flies, mosquitoes, wind, sun, and reptiles. They endure rude and unwelcome criticism, and they put up with physical pain, sharp, severe, acute, unpleasant, disagreeable, and life-threatening. So being able to endure all those unpleasant things in life. Kanti paramang tapo titika. Patient endurance is the best practice, the highest practice. Right? So training yourself to be able to endure. This is not just for monks. Right? This is part of the practice. Just being able to sit in your meditation and deal with pain and itches and things like that, trying to endure that. Even if you're a layperson, that's enduring. That's practicing enduring. Dealing with something that is unpleasant. Very important skill to develop. For the distressing and feverish defilements that might arise in someone who lives without enduring these things, do not arise when they are endured. These are called the defilements that should be given up by enduring. Defilements given up by avoiding. And what are the defilements that should be given up by avoiding? Take a mendicant who, reflecting rationally, avoids a wild elephant, a wild horse, a wild ox, a wild dog, a snake, a stump, thorny ground, a pit, a cliff, a swamp, and a sewer. Reflecting rationally, they avoid sitting on inappropriate seats, walking in inappropriate neighborhoods, and mixing with bad friends. Whatever sensible spiritual companions would believe to be a bad setting. So you're avoiding people, places, situations that would incline you towards unskillfulness. This is an important skill to develop. Very important skill to develop. Same as enduring. Knowing, oh yeah, there's a bunch of wild elephants over there. I'm not going to go there. Right? And then you can just, that's just the euphemism. There could be something in your life. He's like, oh yeah, I see that pack of wild elephants. I'm not going to go and get myself involved in that, whatever it may be. Defilements given up by dispelling. And what are the defilements that should be given up by dispelling? Take a mendicant who, reflecting rationally, doesn't tolerate a sensual, malicious, or cruel thought that has arisen. So this is samma sankappo. This is right intention. But gives it up, gives rid of it, eliminates it, and obliterates it. They don't tolerate any bad, unskillful qualities that have arisen, but they give them up, get rid of them, eliminate them, and obliterate them. In other places, the Buddha says one is disgusted, one is embarrassed, right? That they have that, so they give them up. You dispel them. You do not tolerate them. For the distressing and feverish defilements that might arise in someone who lives without dispelling these things do not arise when they are dispelled. These are called the defilements that should be given up by dispelling. And what are the defilements that should be given up by developing? It's when a mendicant, reflecting rationally, develops the awakening factors of mindfulness. So developing the 7 factors of awakening, of investigation of dhammas, of energy, rapture, tranquility, immersion, and equanimity. So this is by developing the 7 factors of awakening, This, of course, includes developing anapanasati, satipatthana, essentially developing the Noble Eightfold Path. When you're doing that, then you are giving up by developing. For the distressing and feverish defilements that might arise in someone who lives without developing these things, do not arise when they are developed. These are called the defilements that should be given up by developing. Now take a mendicant who, by seeing, has given up the defilements that should be given up by seeing. By restraint, they've given up the defilements that should be given up by restraint. By using, they've given up the defilements that should be given up by using. By enduring, they've given up the defilements that should be given up by enduring. By avoiding, they've given up the defilements that should be given up by avoiding. By dispelling, they've given up the defilements that should be given up by dispelling. By developing, they've given up the defilements that should be given up by developing. They're called a mendicant who lives having restrained all defilements, who has cut off craving, untied the fetters, and by rightly comprehending conceit, has made an end of suffering. That is what the Buddha said. Satisfied, the mendicants approved of what the Buddha said. All right. Let's see. I thought I saw. Hello, Dharma learner. Welcome. So Julie had that question. An arahant has no further becoming and does not crave. Is this accurate? There is no more becoming for the arahant. Yes, yes, of course. No more birth, no more death. Right? This is why nibbana is called the deathless. When you're awakened, you've broken the cycle. Indeterminate karma. I'm not quite sure I know what that means. I'd have to have seen the Pali. I've heard that term before, but it's not a very common term, and I think I would need to know the context for that specific to explain that. Nothing is coming up at this point. Gregory is asking what aspects of metta of the Brahma Viharas are uniquely Buddhist. Well, I mean, the Brahma Viharas are uniquely Buddhist. I mean, obviously, goodwill and compassion and equanimity and appreciative joy are not uniquely Buddhist. Right? You have in the medieval Christian, what you call it? You have like the avatars, right? Like compassion, right? These are all goodwill. These are all things that were seen as virtues to develop. Not being envious, right? The 7 deadly sins, envy and pride and all these things, right? So these are human qualities, right? And so of course the different religions will have similar teachings related to these. Hello, Upasika Mudita. Welcome. Kanti may be the missing piece I was looking for today. I have aversion to aversion. Thank you, Bon. Yeah, well, patience is so important. That's what mindfulness helps you do. Mindfulness helps you become patient. Because usually what happens is stimulus response. Something happens, then we automatically respond. We don't think about it, we don't contemplate it, we don't investigate it. But then being able to patiently endure things allows you to have time to respond skillfully. Somebody gets angry at you, somebody says, says something towards you that's insulting or whatever. And instead of the instant reaction, you can understand, oh, okay, these words, you can even reflect. Well, maybe are they right? Is there a kernel of truth of maybe they're doing it in an unskillful way? Right? You can actually do things like that instead of just taking offense and automatically, rah, 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 making a case of it, as you see the Bhikkhu Malia Paguna and the Bhikkhunis do in the um, simile of the saw, Kakachupa Masuta. So when you are develop that patience, you win a battle hard to win. Like the Buddha says with anger. With one who is dealing with somebody who is angry and does not become angry themselves, they win a battle hard to win for the benefit of themselves and the other person. So patience allows us to do this, to be able to endure unpleasant experience. Allows us to do this. We can do we can react in a skillful, mindful way that's beneficial to yourself and others, as opposed to instant stimuli response. This is the importance of patience, right? Because you have to be able to endure this when you're sitting in meditation and you have pains and you have itches. When I do the mindfulness guided meditation, FMTI and things like that, I talk about and observing and being with that pain or that itch as long as you possibly can. To understand it, to see it, to investigate it, to know it. And then when it becomes too much, when your endurance has reached the end, whether that's in 30 seconds or 5 minutes or 10 minutes, then you mindfully scratch the itch or adjust your posture, whatever. Right? You don't just do it because you're in such a rush to do it. You do it mindfully. You observe. Oh, when you scratch the itch, all of a sudden the pleasant feelings that arise, right? The mind state changes. All these things change. When you adjust your posture, the pain goes away. There's a little bit of a relief, etc. You observe the whole process. Right? The Buddha wants us to observe what? When things arise, as they persist, and then when they cease. You can't do that if you have no endurance, if you have no patience. You have to be able to patiently endure. You have to be able to abide, like the dude. The Buddha is the ultimate abider. All right. The three fetter. Well, okay, Anna. So you're talking. You want to know about Sakai Diti, Vichikicha, and Silabhata Paramasa, right? The three fetters, the first three fetters, that when abandoned fully, you become a stream enter. Right? Identity view, where you have this perspective of, oh, this body is mine, this mind is mine, I am this is me, this is mine, this is me, this is myself. And by the time you become a stream enter, you've been investigating and you don't really see anything very obvious That is you. Okay, no, this body's not mine. This is not mine. This is not me. I don't know. But there's still one. There's still the fetter of conceit left. The conceit, I am. So you have not fully. Only an arahant, only a fully awakened being, has fully understood anatta, not self. Stream mentor has gone a long way in doing so, but they still don't. They still have this little kernel, this little feeling. I am. I think, therefore I am. Right. And then the other is doubt, vichikicha. Right? They have no longer any doubt in the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha. They have no longer any doubt on the path, that this path is leading somewhere. Because they've practiced, and they have seen that it is leading somewhere. As I say, what is the Buddha's definition of awakening? The abandoning of greed, hatred, and delusion. Over years of practice, when you start to see that your greed, hatred, and delusion are lessening. Oh, this is getting somewhere. This is going somewhere. Why don't I keep going? Right? So all those doubts are gone. And even obviously doubts maybe you have doubts of your own ability to go to do the practice. All doubts are gone. All doubts vanish. Right? Those of you who were in morning monastery experience, right, last week, all doubts vanish for the Brahmin who has discerned a cause, who has seen the end of conditions, etc. And then the other one is reliance. I don't want to say reliance. The view that rites and rituals in and of themselves will bring you to awakening. It's a misunderstanding of this is that people realize our rites and rituals are stupid, so I stop doing them. We do dozens of rites and rituals every day. Brushing our teeth, having the morning coffee, right? These are all rites and rituals. It's part of existing in life. Westerners, we don't like religious rituals or whatever. We come from another religion or whatever. So we kind of think, oh, I already have a leg up on this department because I don't like altars and candles and incense and bowing and all this stuff. So I'm half a sotapanner. No, this is not how that works. Definitely not how that works. So this is the understanding, because you have to think about the cultural context of the retreat in 2 weeks that I'm giving. We're going to talk about this, how to understand the suttas. One of those is to understand the cultural context. You have to understand the samanas, right? So at the time of the Buddha, you see in the suttas, there are people who believed, well, the way you cleanse the mind is by taking a shower, a bath 3 times a day. So they jumped in the water 3 times a day to cleanse themselves. So they figure they cleanse the body to cleanse the mind. No. Right? So the Buddha, these are the kind of examples. If I tend to the sacred fire, if I walk around, if I just always keep my hands up or sleep on a bed of nails or whatever, this in and of itself will bring me to awakening. No. That's what this is about. Right? Awakening is following the Noble Eightfold Path. That will allow you to become awakened, not just bathing 3 times a day. So that's what that means. Right? The Buddha is making it very clear that there's more to it than just doing that. Okay? It doesn't matter if you bow 108 times. That in and of itself is not going to bring you to awaken. But if you do the bowing in conjunction with your practice in certain ways, then yeah, that can be a useful tool. So that's the important thing to understand there with that. Those are the first three first three fetters that are abandoned. Julie says, I don't understand the part of no further becoming because an arhat continues to live, therefore. How does the arhat not create karma while still alive? It is karma that is not rooted in delusion, greed, anger. So an awakened being no longer creates karma. Even though they're still in their final life, their final body. Their actions are beyond merit and demerit. Their actions are beyond karma. So that's a thing to understand. Now, while they're still in their final body, their actions, their karma from the past can still come to fruition. Right? You see this in the suttas even with the Buddha. Right? His actions in the past impacted his body as an adult, as an elderly person, etc. But becoming this word bhava, this word is existence. Right? Because you have cut out the ignorance, the dependent origination has toppled. There is nothing, the cycle is gone. There's nothing, there's no momentum. There's nothing that's keeping you to be born again, to come to another existence. So it's done. The momentum, the energy, the clinging, the fuel is all out. You've become extinguished. So an arhat in their final body they became to their final body, their final life. But once they parinibbana, once they are finally extinguished, there's no more become. Hello, Andrew. Welcome. Good to see you. Hope you're doing okay. Been a while. Right. There seems to be so many defilements. Yeah, there probably is as vast as the stars. Right. Well, you can't think of, it's like you start out I want to learn piano, and then like the first day you're like you want to learn fur release, dun, 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 dun. And then you're like, oh, I can't play all of Beethoven. I mean, it's so much. Well, obviously, you just started, and then a year later, you're like, so, and then you keep going better, you keep doing it, you keep lessening the defilements over your lifetime and many lifetimes. So just like anything, it takes, if you're like trying to scale the mountain and your mind is always just your eyes are just like this, first of all, you're gonna fall because you're supposed to be like paying attention to your handholds, right? And your mind is like, oh my god, this mountain is so big. No, if you don't pay attention to where your hands are right now, you're gonna fall. So you pay attention to where your hands are right now. Don't look at too far into the future. You're not there yet. Every once in a while, you can look behind you. You can look. It's like climbing a mountain. You look. Oh, I've come pretty high. I mean, I still have like all this to go, but I've come pretty high. So don't get overwhelmed or frustrated or exhausted for the number of defilements. Just keep doing following the Noble Eightfold Path. The answer to everything is follow the Noble Eightfold Path. Develop the Noble Eightfold Path. That is the path that leads to the ending of suffering. Doesn't matter how long it takes. That's the answer. Yes, Anna. Yeah. All right. Why don't we do some meditation? Then we'll read some Dhammapada and we'll close it out. I'm glad it's encouraging, Karuna. That's the first time I've used that. I played piano when I was young for like 7 years. I wasn't a big fan of it, but my mom. But and For Release was the song I remember learning how to play. I can still, if I went to the piano, I could still do that. The rest, no. But I mean, it's like learning any skill. It takes a while. Don't get overwhelmed. Come back to the basics. Always come back to the Noble Eightfold. So, with that, why don't we practice it? Like doing some meditation. Set your body up in whatever comfortable and stable position works for you. Hey, good night, Das. Good to have you back with us. It's been sad not having you disappear whenever we start meditation. All right. Oh, you were a rock climber. Well, then good. Well, then that worked out perfect. I'm glad I used that simile as well. All right. Hello, Daniel. I already explained it. The freedom from doubt would be that you have no longer any doubt in the Buddha, Dhamma, the Sangha. You have no longer any doubt on the path, the Noble Eightfold Path, or your ability to follow it. So that's what doubt is in this context. Yeah, Das Adriana disappeared. Like it's almost like a year and a half ago now. One day, just never showed up again. So hopefully she's doing okay. All right, Daniel. So we'll do some mindful scanning of the body, starting from the feet, moving up to the head. We do this for two reasons. The first is so that our minds can move from the busy external, the world, and all the activities of the day to the internal, focusing just on this mind and body. And the second reason is to have a very deep understanding of your posture, of the balance of the posture, small feelings of pain, etc., so that you can learn over time to set your body up in a comfortable and stable position that will allow you to sit for longer periods with less pain. So start by placing your focus and attention on your feet. Whatever feeling or sensation arises in that part of the body, such as the feeling of the feet pressing against the floor, focus in, mindfully investigate that feeling. Move up through the ankles, into the calves, through the knees, into the thighs. Where's the feeling of the thighs pressing against the cushion, the chair? Move up to the hips and pelvis. The hips and pelvis are an important part of your posture, the placement of which impacts both the legs and the spine as we move up. This is a very important part of your posture to check as you're adjusting your posture. You're ready to move up the spine through the abdomen and the chest. Checking that the spine is not leaning or slouching here or there, nor that you're trying to make it very straight. Ideally, the spine should just be resting comfortably with its normal curvature. Up through to the shoulders, making sure they're hanging loosely, not scrunched up and tight. Down through to the elbows and hands, observing how the position of the elbows and hands also impacts your posture, your spine. And finally, up through to the head, checking that the head is balanced, chin parallel to the floor, not leaning or slouching here or there. When you're done setting up your body in a comfortable and stable position, let the body go and take 3 deep breaths. And then let the breath go. From here on in, try not to manipulate or control the breath in any way. Your body has been breathing from the moment it was born. Will continue to do so until the second you die. It doesn't need you to do its job. Your job is to simply observe, investigate, and abide with the breath. The body breathes in, the body breathes out. As you're following your breath, your mind will become bored, will seek to run away to the past or the future, across the world or the galaxy, into various fantasies and stories, narratives, or an external distraction like a sound will arise and your mind will become enraptured by it, chase it around. When this happens, after a time, it will slowly start to dawn on you that you have been taken away from the breath. At that point, try to come back to focus and mindfulness by acknowledging that you have been taken away from the breath, and practice letting go by neither getting agitated and trying to push it away, nor by getting continually wrapped up and excited by it. Do your best to let it go, to let it be, to give it no effort, energy, attention. Let it go on its way and return to the breath. So whenever you're distracted away, acknowledge, let go, and return. Acknowledge, let go, and return. Always come back to the breath. Breath is there, doing its job, ready for you to follow it towards a more calm and tranquil mind. Acknowledge, let go, and return. As you're following your breath, every once in a while, check in with the state of your mind. Your mind becoming more calm and tranquil or not. As it does, you may begin to notice more deeper, subtle characteristics of the breath. Sometimes the breath is long and deep, sometimes short and shallow. See if you can follow the breath as it's changing. Slowly start to open your eyes, becoming aware of the room around you, your body's position in it, reflecting on the state of your mind before and after the meditation, then contemplating any experiences you may have had while we read a little bit of Dhammapada, close it out. Pupavaga, flowers. Who shall overcome this earth, this realm of Yama, and this sphere of men and gods? Who shall bring to perfection the well-taught path of wisdom, as an expert garland maker would his floral design? A striver on the path shall overcome this earth, this realm of Yama, and this sphere of men and gods. The striver on the path shall bring to perfection the well-taught path of wisdom, as an expert garland maker would his floral design. Realizing that this body is like froth, penetrating its mirage-like nature, and plucking out Mara's flower-tipped arrows of sensuality. Sounds like Cupid, right? Plucking it. Cupid has a little bow and arrow with a little heart-shaped arrow. So Mara's flower-tipped arrows of sensuality go beyond sight of the king of death. As a mighty flood sweeps away the sleeping village, so death carries away the person of distracted mind who only plucks the flowers of pleasure. The destroyer brings under his sway the person of distracted mind who, insatiate in sense desires, only plucks the flowers of pleasure. As a bee gathers honey from the flower without injuring its color or fragrance, even so the sage goes on his alms round in the village. Let none find fault with others. Let one see the omissions and commissions of others. Or let none see the omissions and commissions of others, but let one see one's own acts, done and undone. Like a beautiful flower full of color, but without fragrance, even so fruitless are the fair words of one who does not practice them. Like a beautiful flower full of color and also fragrant, even so fruitful are the fair words of one who practices them. As from a great heap of flowers many garlands can be made, even so should many good deeds be done by one born a mortal. Not the sweet smell of flowers, nor even the fragrance of sandal, tagra, or jasmine blows against the wind, but the fragrance of the virtuous blows against the wind. Truly, the virtuous man pervades all directions with the fragrance of his virtue. Of all the fragrances, sandal, tagara, blue lotus, and jasmine, the fragrance of virtue is the sweetest. Faint is the fragrance of tagara and sandal, but excellent is the fragrance of the virtuous, wafting even amongst the gods. Mara never finds the path of the truly virtuous, who abide in heedfulness and are freed from by perfect knowledge. Upon a heap of rubbish in the roadside ditch blooms a lotus, fragrant and pleasing. Even so, on the rubbish heap of blinded mortals, the disciple of supremely enlightened one shines resplendent in wisdom. All right, friends. I think we have come to the end. And with that, let's bring up our banners for business and then close out with sharing of merits. So, if you're joining us for the first time and you'd like to continue to uh, learn more or see more about myself and Maggasekha, you can go to the website scrolling on the bottom of the screen, maggasekha.org, MAGGASEKHA.org. There you can find anytime I post a new article or a new video or a new live stream, a new retreat, whatever's coming up, even my journeys and my travels as a nomad monk. You can find out all the information there. That's my headquarters for all information related to Maggasekha. You go to that website, you can click on the right hand top side. You can put your email, and if you put your email there and then subscribe there, and you'll get an email anytime I post. You'll get a notification. Same thing with YouTube. You click subscribe, click the bell, and all that, and then you'll get an email anytime a new video is coming out or a new live stream. We also have the Maggasekha online community on the Discord program. This is a community that is both has the suttas, the early Buddhist texts, as their central focus and framework, both the framework of study and practice. If this community sounds interesting to you, you can send an email to the email listed on the screen, maggasekha@gmail.com, and then ask for an invite, and we'll send an invite. All right. Bring up the sharing of merits. Dukkha patta chane dukkha, bhaya patta chane bhaya, soka patta chane soka, hantu sabbe pipaniyo, eta vata chamehi sampadang punya sampadang, sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya, akasata jabumata deva naga mahiddhika punyang tang anumoditva charang rakantu sasanang. May the suffering ones be suffering free. The fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, but may all beings find relief. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas, nagas, and yakas of mighty power, share this dispensation, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddhist dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. All right, friends. Sukhihotu, may you be well and at ease. Practice well and be well. May you have a spiritually successful and peaceful practice until we meet again, which could be tomorrow for morning monastery experience, 8 a.m. Monday through Friday, or could be on Insight Timer next Saturday for Insight Timer session, Sunday sutta reading on the Discord, or maybe next week, next Monday for another Dhammapalooza. Have a good week.